Hey, welcome to our archive edition of Chad's Beer Podcast. This week I'm talking to Max Spang, aka Snobby Beer. His channel is still up, although he hasn't posted to it in years. In fact, I'll show you. This is actually an interview he did with me in September of 2011, and I interviewed him in August of 2011, and we also did a beer trade. And I just came across this video the other day, and I said, Matt, where'd you go? It's funny, he looks like Q from Impractical Jokers there. Oh man, Dogfish Head for it. Anyway, yeah, so I said, where'd you go? And he actually wrote back on a different channel. So, but no content on this. So it's funny, he looks like he's losing his hair too. So yeah, it's been 13 years. I remember doing I did a beer trade with Max. I think he sent me some homebrew. I sent him some homebrew. He was in Ohio, I believe. I forget where exactly. But yeah, one thing I always liked about his channel was he had like this really cool, pretty professional opening. Here, I'll show you. And it had like this like kind of beatbox music, and yeah, I always thought that was a pretty cool opening. So
breweries.
Anyway, with no further ado, here is my interview with Max, and then it'll be followed by his interview with me. And maybe I'll throw in my beer mail unboxing at the end, just as a extra bonus. So, all right, thanks for watching. I swear we're gonna have a new episode next week. All right, see ya. Hey, welcome to another episode of Interview with a Craft Beer Enthusiast. Tonight I'm talking to Max Spang of Snobby Beer Reviews. How you doing?
Thanks.
We just did a founder's review, and we're just rolling right into an interview. It's only natural. Max, you're fairly new to the YouTube beer tube scene. What made you want to get into doing video beer reviews?
Well, I mean, it all kind of started last Christmas. I got a homebrew kit, and I'd always been kind of interested in beer. And so I got the homebrew kit, and that just kind of escalated to this whole obsession with beer and craft beer. And I come from a video production background, so I've been doing video work, for as long as I can remember. And like, as I was getting more interested in beer, I would get on YouTube and stuff, and I would see videos like yours and Beer Geek Nation and the Better Beer Authority,
right?
And I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was a really cool way to kind of log all of the beers that you drink, and it I don't know, it was just kind of a fun little thing that I did more as a hobby than anything else.
Yeah, you can see the Beer Geek Nation influence on the way that your show is set up, like with the different cuts and all that stuff, Yeah,
I tried to borrow some things from the other people, and it's no surprise that Beer Geek Nation and Better Beer Authority are kind of a big influence on mine. So.
Yeah. You actually got to go shoot with the Better Beer Authority, because I think they're in Columbus, Ohio, and
Yep.
You're Dayton. So, how did that come about, and what was it like?
It was a lot the same as this little interview with you. It was just kind of like, we saw each other's stuff. Of course, I've been watching his stuff for a lot longer than he's been watching mine, but we just kind of started communicating through email. And then, Columbus is a stone's throw away from Dayton, so it just seemed, might as well head up there and drink some beer with them and shoot a review or two. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it like in real life what it looks like on the internet, or?
It looks way better in person. I mean, it looks really, really impressive on screen, but I mean, they have like lights, like a whole lighting rig on top, and like a teleprompter, which I don't know if he wants people to know that he has a teleprompter, but I mean, they had monitors, and it was just
Well.
Maybe coming from a video background, as soon as I stepped foot in there, of course, I was drooling just watching it. And plus, with really excellent beer and really cool people. It was just a really good experience.
Yeah. Now, what is like your actual either like day job or experience with video production, and like what kind of software do you use for your videos?
Um, I actually co-own a video production company in Dayton, Ohio. We're called Erratic Media Group, and we do TV commercials and web content,
Right.
web videos, that kind of thing. And that's where my channel is Erratic TV, and that's kind of like our network to do our non-client work. Like that's our programming network basically. And
Right.
Snobby Beer Reviews is just another one of our programs. But I have a Mac, so I use Final Cut Pro and Adobe After Effects. For I use the After Effects obviously for the effects part of it, and then Final Cut I do all the editing and stuff with.
A, how old are you? And B, how long have you been drinking? And C, how long have you been drinking good beer?
I'm only 22, so I've only been drinking since I've been 21, of course.
Of
So,
course.
um, but good beer, it was one of those things where it's like, I never, I know I made that little joke. It's like, well, since I've been 21, but I was
Right.
never big on drinking. Like, in high school and everything, everybody started drinking and all that, and I just wasn't into it.
Right.
Pretty much actually until I turned 21. And then when I turned 21, I was just trying whatever, different alcohol, different beers.
Right.
And the good quality beer has always been kind of an interest, but it was never like an obsession like
Right.
it is now.
Yeah, so was there like any kind of specific epiphany you had of just like, you live in Ohio, you have access to Founders, and I imagine Bell's and probably Great Lakes. Um, like, did you just kind of what did somebody hand it to you one day and say, "Hey, try this," or did you just kind of like go to the store and just be like, "Let me try this"?
There wasn't really. I mean, the thing that really kind of set me over the edge in the craft beer was the homebrew kit. And once I started buying hops and
Uh huh.
everything, and you kind of like you smell the hops, and you see how it's made. Um, it's almost insulting to the ingredients to use them in a way that is
Right.
not very good.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess it was homebrewing that kind of set me over the edge to craft beer.
Right. And what was the reason behind homebrewing? Just like for kicks, or
Um, it was the episode of Good Eats with Alton Brown on Food Network. It's the TV show, and I love Food Network, and I always watch that show. And they had a homebrewing episode, and it didn't really look that hard. It just looked really time consuming.
right?
Um, so I asked for it for Christmas, and I got this little. It was a Mr. Beer kit,
Oh yeah.
and then from there, I probably made I think two batches on the Mr. Beer kit, and then immediately shelled out a bunch of money to upgrade all my
Hmm.
equipment and everything. So
Like, I know you call yourself like snobby beer reviews. Has that always been like tongue in cheek, or has it been like, or is there like a truthiness to it? Like you want it to
it's
only be upper echelon type stuff.
it's always been tongue in cheek. When I first started it, I had all these like these ideas to do these kind of funny videos about how to be a beer snob, but I never got around to it. And one of these days, I will do it,
Right.
and the whole thing, people will, it'll be like the idea will come to fruition. But people, I think beer snobs are among like the most annoying people, way more than wine snobs.
Yeah.
I think we've all been at a beer store and had people look down at us because we're buying like whatever Sam Adams, or we're buying this IPA over that one. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's always been tongue in cheek, and it's kind of poking fun at it. But once again, you never know that by watching the reviews. That was just the original idea.
Right. When you're rating a beer, drinking a beer for a review or just on your own, like what's going through your head? Like what's your rationale or criteria for like how good it is? Like what are you judging it on?
I mean, a lot of it is just personal preference. I'm not BJPC or whatever certified,
Right.
whatever. um, I I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the styles, but most of the time it's just personal preference. Taste, smell obviously has a lot to do with it, and then
Hmm.
drinkability has. At first, I wasn't really that concerned. It's like, well, if it tastes good, you're gonna want to drink it, but
Yeah.
like, if it's a struggle to drink it, then you know,
Yeah.
I'm 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 leaning more against those type of beers.
Yeah. In your like personal life, interacting with people and from doing the YouTube beer reviews, like have you been trying to kind of proselytize for craft beer? Um, like as far as friends and family, like in
Uh,
saying instead of drinking that Physio stuff, why not try this? And like, how do you do that?
yes, yeah, I do that. My family gets a little tired of it sometimes, but I actually have a friend. It's my friend Robert, who's appeared on a couple of my uh, reviews.
Right.
Um, he was a Miller Lite guy forever,
Right.
and then it was a Nugget Nectar. I gave him a Nugget Nectar, and I bought him a bottle, like a 22-ounce bottle of it,
Yeah.
and he said it was amazing. And now he sends me pictures. It's like, I went to the beer store, and this is what I got. Founders and Trogs and Southern Tier and all these like really great beers. And
Yeah.
I always joke around. It's like I always say that it brings a tear to my eye to watch them grow up.
What is the goal, if you have one, for the YouTube videos? Like, is it always gonna be just for kicks, or are you gonna try to like make it as serious as possible and like push for as many subscribers as possible and push for a partner, or is it just gonna be something you just do as for fun on the side?
Can it be both? uh, I mean, I have a few other channels and um, like my old skateboarding channel, which I still post stuff onto, which is Maxwell Says. That's a partner, and yeah, I mean, it would be cool to get partnership and to maybe make a couple dollars here and there off of the videos, but it's like
Yeah.
if it doesn't happen, it's no big deal. Because like I said, the our company has Erratic TV, which is kind of like our network.
Right.
So if that channel becomes a good channel and it becomes partner, then it's going to be good for the company that I work for. So
Hmm.
yeah, but I do want to do partnership and subscribers and everything, but I also this is completely me and it's completely a fun project.
What's like your favorite beer styles and breweries?
Um, well, my favorite brewery is Founders. Uh, I've only had one beer that I wasn't really that crazy about, and it wasn't the cerise that we just did a review of, because that one I was on the fence, but there was just this one that it wasn't all that great. But most of the time, Founder, like I have however many bottles of Founders on hand all the time.
Uh-huh.
As far as my favorite styles, I love IPAs.
Hmm.
I used to really, really like Imperial Stouts, but it seems, like I said, I'm leaning more towards the drinkable beers than the big, heavy, massive beers. And I still like them. I
Yeah.
love barley wines. I love, quads and all that. But, and even recently, I've been really into Pilsners, which is, one of the lightest and easy drinking beers you can get. But ask me again in 2 days, and I'll probably change my
Yeah.
mind.
There is a youtube.com/snobby beer reviews, but you don't really use it. You use the erratic TV one. Like, what was the rationale behind that?
Uh, the I originally just started doing the snobby beer reviews, just kind of like just on my own, like away from the company, just
Yeah.
for fun or whatever. Um, but I kind of decided it's like, well, while I'm doing this and while I have this other channel for our company, it's like we might as well, because I mean, if you look at Erratic TV, we have like drifting and we have like uh, car stuff, and we have like restaurant profiles, and we have a bunch of
Right.
good stuff. And lately, it's just been beer reviews. So basically, Erratic TV is essentially what it sounds like, which is a TV network, and these are all the shows that are on the TV thing. So we're shifting everything over to that, and I'll probably eventually delete the snobby beer
Uh-huh.
YouTube page. So
Uh-huh. All right. Well, I guess that about wraps it up with the interview with Max from Snobby Beer Reviews. Go ahead and plug your website, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff if you got it.
okay, it's snobbybeer.com. That's the website. The channel on YouTube is Erratic TV.
Right.
The Twitter is snobby_beer, and then on Facebook we're just called Snobby Beer, so we're on there.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again to Max for joining me for the review and the interview. And be sure to go check him out here on YouTube or on the interwebs, wherever you are. So thanks for joining me, Max.
Yep, thank you for doing this review. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Or this interview, I should say.
Yep. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.
Hey guys, we are back with Snobby Beer, and today we are doing a special episode. We are interviewing Chad from Chad's Beer Reviews. How you doing, Chad?
Good. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. So Chad, I guess first things first, what got you into craft beer?
It was kind of like a series of transitions. I was never like, a big fizzy yellow enthusiast or anything. I was never really into, getting drunk or acting crazy or all that stuff as a kid or even in college and things like that. Like, whenever I was at a party or whatever and somebody handed me a fizzy yellow beer, I drink like one and be like, it's all right. I don't get the appeal of this stuff. And then, I was in the Navy, active duty for like 7 years, for most of the 2000s, like 2001 to 2007. And then went to other countries, around the world. And wherever we went, I'd always, try to drink the local beer. And it'd be a lot different than American fizzy beer, though they did have fizzy yellow beer there. But I always just wanted to try anything that wasn't fizzy yellow beer. Even like in America, like I've been to like Boston, New York, Philly, DC, Florida, up and down the coast. Even when I was in the Navy, wherever I went, I wanted to try something that wasn't fizzy yellow beer. I went. There's a package store on the Navy base, which is like a liquor store, and it's tax free for military people. And one thing I would do is like every week I'd go and just get a random 6-pack of a brewery of a beer I'd never heard of, just to try it. I'd always, I got like Boddingtons, even Carlsberg, and like a safe bet would be like I get like a Sam Adams or a Magic Hat or a Saranac or Dundee, something like that. Just like as long as it's not the same old fizzy little beer, I thought it was pretty cool. And then I moved back to Albany in late 2007, and I found out from Jay, who does Jay's Beer Reviews, that there's this huge craft beer store like practically right around the corner from my house. So I started going there all the time. I made friends with the manager. His section was huge. It was kind of the same thing as like when I was in the Navy, when I was just like every week I just wanted to try something different. And the nice thing about my beer store and a lot of good craft beer stores is they let you mix your own 6-pack. So I'd be like, just take one bottle of this, one of this, instead of having to get a whole sixer or 4 pack or whatever. So, um, yeah, so I didn't really get a huge craft beer scene enthusiast until maybe like 2007, 2008, but I was just never a fizzy yellow enthusiast.
Yeah, I don't think very many people are enthusiasts of fizzy yellow beers, but
Unless you're just a stereotypical frat boy or something.
yeah. What got you into doing like YouTube beer reviews or beer tubing?
Well, like I said, when I moved back to Albany in 2007, I started getting into beer and I started writing text reviews for ep9.com, which is a website I wrote like movie reviews for like 10 years. And I thought, I got burned out of movies. So I was like, I'll try to start writing beer reviews, see if I'm any good at this. And I really wasn't. I was just like totally amateurish, totally naive. But I was really like enthusiastic. I just wanted to write about beer. So, I just started like in the spring of 2008 doing texts, and then at the end of the summer, I kind of got burned out on it, or not burned out, just like I didn't think that it was really worth it. Like I'd write a review for like 3 people to read, and I was like, I went on YouTube and I was like, is anybody doing beer reviews on YouTube? And there's only like a handful of people on there doing them, and I was like, well, since there's no competition, I'll start doing them, and it's a good way to get my foot in the door now. So, yeah, like October of 2008, started doing video beer reviews. I still was totally naive at the time. Like, it's as embarrassing those text reviews are to read. The old, season 1 of Chad's beer reviews is very, hard to watch. So, yeah, I mean, like, I went into it and it's just like, well, nobody else is doing this. I'm just going to stick at it for as long as I can. And I said as soon as it becomes work or it's not fun anymore, I'm not going to do it. But we're coming up on 3 years and it's still fun to do all this time later.
What about, because you don't just review beer, you also do like energy drinks and Snapple and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, I started doing the other than beer reviews, beverage stuff about a year ago when I was switching everything from Chad 976 to Chad's beer reviews, and I was uploading like 2 or 3 archive reviews a day, and I was like, nobody's gonna I gotta give people an incentive to watch or subscribe, because I figured most of the people that they already have seen those before. So I was like, I'm gonna every once in a while do something new that's funny, or just that's when I started doing sodas, energy drinks, Snapples, all that stuff. It was always just for kicks, like just to be fun. Like I didn't consider myself or purport to be a connoisseur of energy drinks or sodas or things like that, or an expert or anything. It was just always just for kicks, just for fun, just to have something other than beer reviews on this new channel to get people to subscribe. And it did bring in a lot of people, and now I'm moving all those from Chad's beer reviews to Chad 976, and I'll keep doing them for fun.
What about, like, how come you never got into like Chad's whiskey reviews or Chad's scotch reviews or anything like that? Why just beer and non-alcoholic drinks?
Because I never really was a liquor drinker, certainly not a wine drinker either. Just didn't really have the palate for it. And I know that there are, liquor and certainly wine connoisseurs out there that, as I am and like the other beer tubers are to beer, they are to liquor and wine. But I just never had the time or patience to, let me grab like all these different bottles of Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or Johnny Walker and start trying to analyze them and things like that. And I mean, wine, forget it. Just 10 million different bottles of wine in a wine store. I'm gonna stick with beer. I wouldn't rule it out, like down the road, to start getting into wine and liquor reviews, but it's, I never had interest in it before, and until I develop an interest for those things, I don't really see me doing it anytime soon.
I know we talked a little bit off camera about like homebrewing and stuff. Do you think you'll ever get into homebrewing?
Yeah, I actually got a homebrewing for dummies book, and I got a couple of Randy Mosier radical brewing and Michael Jackson books and stuff, and it's like homebrewing is something I definitely want to do, but it's like if I'm gonna do it, I feel like I should do it. I want to go. I don't want to like half-ass it, you know. But I mean, I'm not gonna jump right into all grain brewing because like I mean, there's so much equipment you got to buy and you got to know how to use it, and you know, maybe I'll like just start with like a Mr. Beer kit from J.C. Penney or whatever, and then work my way up. You know, like my friend Chad, who's been on the show a few times, he's done partial grain. Like he just like there's a plenty of homebrew stores in this area, and they sell kits, and you basically just follow the instructions. But you do need your own equipment. I just always thought that like in this apartment, I really didn't have the room, and between going to school and work, I just really didn't have the time, and so I think maybe once I graduate school and I finally have all weeknights free since I don't have to do homework. I can like and weekends I can finally sit down and try to give home brewing like at least a fair shot.
When you rate your or when you rank your beers and do your whole review on your channel,
Yeah.
do you kind of go more by style, or is it more of like you're just like more of your personal preference?
Yeah, I don't rate or grade to style. I think that styles are kind of arbitrary. I think all styles really do is give you a general idea of what to expect with the beer. Like there's what separates me from like the real beer Nazis is the ones that get all hung up on style of like, well, this is a Czech Pilsner versus a German Pilsner versus an American Pilsner. It's like, who cares? They're all just fizzy beers in the end, you know? Or American Brown Ale versus English Brown Ale, or American IPA versus English, so on. But it's like, how whenever it talks about like you know, a Nigerian Brown Ale or something like that, Yes, I mean, when I rate beer, I'm rating it to how much I really like it and how good it is to me, because I don't believe in any kind of existential, factual kind of thing of like that there's an actual hierarchy of quality or anything like that, like that certain beers are actually better than others. There's only just each person has their own personal preference and taste, and all I'm doing is just telling you what I think of it, and if people disagree, that's cool, I'm just grading like, taste is definitely the most important, and drinkability is probably a second. Aroma is really, really nice if it's good, and appearance, Kevin Burns at the Foaming Head said this, it's a great line. He said, appearance can only hurt you, it can't really help you, and I definitely agree with that. I mean, like, there's certain beers that, just, it's like at that time in that place, when it's poured right before you and you're just about to take a sip, just looking at it looks great, but, I can pour you, I mean, like a Guinness next to a Dark Lord really isn't all that much different,
What are some of your favorite beers out there?
It's funny because like I do like the top 10 best of the year for the last 2 years, and I'll do one this year. I've never sat down and done like an all-time top 10 or 20 or whatever list, but I really like IPAs. I really like imperial stouts, pumpkin beers, Hefeweizens, well, the German ones. So it's kind of like, it's hard for me to say like these are like absolute top 5 or 10. The Southern Tier chocolate, mocha, and pumpkin are definitely one of my all-time favorites. Weinstefaner and Schneiderweiss, Hefeweizen, great wheat beers. Founders KBS, Brown's Whiskey Barrel Porter, awesome, great beers. Pliny the Elder, the Three Floyds Apocalypse Cow, Southern Tier Gemini, a lot of the West Coast, Stone, Ruination, Racer 5, Ballast Point. It's just so hard to. One day I'll sit down and actually put them in order, but then 2 weeks later those won't even be valid anymore. So.
What are some of your least favorite beers?
My least favorite like style of like a real beer style is really, I think it's like Pilsner. Not even like as bad as Heineken and all those European green Stella Artois, like green bottle Pilsners that skunk and stink. As bad as they are, that's not even like the standard. Cause like I've had like Victory Prima Pils and Sam Adams Noble Pils, and people hand these to me and like, oh my god, these are fantastic beers, and I drink them. I'm just like, can't even taste the difference between this and the so-called best, European Pilsner. They very bland, plain, fizzy yellow beers to me. I mean, I love Imperial Pilsners, like the Southern Tier Krampus. That was, I mean, because it's practically like drinking an IPA, but regular old Pilsners, not really a big fan of them. Any kind of like, malt liquor, like either just straight up malt liquor or like a Four Loko type flavored malt liquor type thing. But I don't really count that as beer, so I'm not a big fan of like smoked beers. But and just in general, just macro lagers, especially light ones. I think Bud Light, all those Busch Light, Natty Light, just get that away from me.
What are some of your favorite breweries?
Well, I think Southern Tier would be my favorite brewery. But they get bonus points for me because they're a New York brewery, and also I met a few of the guys that work there, and they were really nice. Local right here in the Albany area is Brown's. Even though they're small microbrewer, they make some great beers. Try to go there like once every other week or so. Who else? Well, I love Samuel Smith's out in England. There's a lot of beers that I have that it's like only, beers that I love like Schneider and Weihenstephaner, but it's only I've had like one beer from that brewery. I kind of dig Rogue out of Portland. I mean, it's maybe a cliche to say, a lot of the San Diego breweries like Stone, Dudecile up in Canada, even though I've only had like 3 or 4 of the beers, 3 Floyds. And of course, Founders. I think Founders is probably my favorite or second favorite of all time brewery because everything they make I love. Southern Tier gets an edge on them for the reasons I said before, though. But Southern Tier, Founders, everybody else.
Do you think of yourself as a beer snob?
No, I mean the whole point of my show, my website, my approach to beer in general is like I like to think I coined the phrase craft beer enthusiast. Like, I call myself amateur connoisseur of like, connoisseur meaning like somebody who appreciates the nuances and details and intricacies, but like isn't like a certified expert like a BJCP or Cicerone or anything, or a brewer. I find myself doing some kind of snobby thing sometimes that like I hate it myself when I do it. Like I got in an argument recently with somebody online because they were reviewing like 18% Imperial Stout and they poured it into a wheat beer glass, and I was just like, oh dude, what are you doing? You don't pour that beer into that glass, and I felt self-righteous at the time, and I look back at it now, I'm just like, well, I mean, what was the point of that argument? If somebody's a noob, it's like you got to kind of let them be a noob, and I mean, I still consider myself a noob in general because I'm not, can't tell you about high alpha acids and how name 50 different hop varieties and what flavor you'd get from each one, so. Any other snobby things? I don't really, like if somebody drinks fizzy yellow beer, I always try to coax them into other things like, hey, if you like, Bud Light, try Sam Adams Light, and then try regular Sam Adams, and try to show people they're like so many people that if they want to drink beer just for the drinkability is like they've never even heard of or know about like a German wheat beer. Like how smooth and tasty and refreshing those beers are, as compared to a Coors Light or a Miller Lite or something like that. So, I try to keep the snobbiness as minimal as possible, but I do catch myself indulging in it every once in a while, and I always kick myself after the fact.
I see that you've done more than just craft beer on your channel. Like you've done like Bud Light Lime and stuff like that.
And the Clamato Chilada.
Yeah, are those more funny, or do you genuinely review them?
No, it is a real, genuine, serious review as much as I review anything else. It's because I'm not a fan of BMC corporations or their beers, but I still think everybody deserves a fair shot because something will surprise you. Like specifically with the Bud Light Lime, I was drinking it. I'm like, this isn't horrible. It just drinks like lime soda. And like even I did like Keystone Light like 2 summers ago, and it wasn't horrible. It was just so bland. I was like, this is inoffensive, but it's just so bland and watery. I don't get it. Um, but like if we can have fun with those kinds of reviews, especially if Henry's here, then that's so much the better. Like when we did the Mountain Brew beer ice last fall, it just it, if we can be funny and review a bad beer, if that comes with it, that's great. But we don't. I've never reviewed something like I'm just gonna review this beer just to rip it.
You mentioned it a little bit, but are you anti like BMC huge corporation beers, or are they just a necessary evil?
Like I don't really buy their products. And those companies have done like a lot of shady things behind the scenes and of bullying small corporations. But, actually, I've seen even microbreweries fighting with each other. So, as far as like the actual beers themselves, if somebody drinks that stuff, it's fine. But I think anybody can be coaxed into drinking something better unless they're homeless or an alcoholic or something.
I know like Budweiser and Anheuser-Busch and Miller and Coors, they all try to make more of these craft beers. Um,
Yeah.
if they started making more like craft flavorful beers, would you buy them, or would you avoid them just because they're big corporation beers?
I might buy they actually have like a Michelob mix pack or a Blue Moon mix pack. I might buy one of those mix packs and like give it to my dad if I was going to my parents' house. It's like I could tolerate those, and there might be one in there like that is I might actually give a thumbs up to, but I wouldn't buy those to keep in my fridge. I mean, it had to be like something really, really special, like oh my god, I can't believe this is a BMC beer that I like. But like way back in the day when I was first getting into real beer, I used to I used to really like Blue Moon. I was like, it's orange flavored beer, and if I drink it today, I'm like, it just tastes like Coors Light with orange tang mix added to it, you know.
If you were like out and about, like at a party or something like that, and someone handed you a Natty Light or like a Milwaukee's Best, are you the type of person that would turn it down, or would you drink it just because that's all that's available?
It would depend on the situation, depending how thirsty I was, like I would have like at least I could have one. I could drink one of like anything really. But I wouldn't if the goal was, hey, let's party all night and get wasted. It's like I'm not gonna be able to get past one or two cans of this stuff. If that was the case, like I'd probably bring my own beer, or that's when I'd start drinking. Like if they had liquor there, and I start doing Jack and Coke or things like that, or Mike's Hard Lemonade or Smirnoff Ice. I'd drink that over Bud Light, Natty Light, any day.
Hmm. Which is funny because the people who are drinking Natty Light would probably laugh at you for drinking the
Yeah.
Mike's Hard or the, the
Yeah. At
Smirnoff
least that
Ice.
stuff has flavor to it.
Yeah. Um, what do you think about like the craft beer industry? Do you think they'll ever make it past, that 10% mark that they can't seem to get past, or what?
Um, I hope so. I think so. Kind of have my fingers crossed for a miracle that the big companies will implode. But I definitely see it. I haven't really studied the industry that much, so I'm not really an expert on like when it comes to actual like economic side of it. But from what I understand, is the overall like if a pie of the beer industry like has gotten smaller, but the actual wedge of the craft beer is getting bigger. So like craft beer is definitely expanding. Um, I don't really understand why beer sales in general are down, because it's actually when the economy goes bad, actually liquor and beer sales and all the vices and luxury product things tend to go up, because people will always want that kind of stuff. But yeah, I do see craft beer definitely getting bigger. At the very least, it's going to become way more stable.
Because like everywhere you go now, like you see like decent beer on the menu. Like I was at TGI Fridays like a week or two ago, and they made it such a point on the menu saying, "Look, we have Harpoon IPA. It was $4 for a pint on draft." And I was like, "Yeah, not that I'm a huge fan of that beer, but $4 for Harpoon IPA versus a Blue Moon or a Beck's or something. I'll take that." And I've seen like even like regular like sports bars and mom and pop type restaurants, like they're at least getting like an IPA on tap, or like maybe not a Guinness, but like a local. We have quite a few breweries in this area. They might have a local beer on tap, or you might even see like a Belgian beer on tap.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up for the interview. Chad, if you want to kind of tell people where they can go see your stuff.
Yeah, well, it's Chad's with a Z, beerreviews.com. It's also Chad's Beer Reviews on YouTube, and my other channel is Chad976 on YouTube. That's where I do all the energy drinks, sodas, Snapple, all that stuff, and just other beer-related vlogs that's not beer reviews. Twitter at Chad976, Facebook.com/Chad's Beer Reviews with a fan page, and
chances are, if you're watching this, then you already know about Chad, but keep watching it.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Chad, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we will see you next time.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.
Hey guys, got another beer reel for you. Or for me, really. This is from Max Spang, better known as Snobby Beer Reviews. Looks like he got some nice, high quality packing material here. And I do know mostly what's in here, but I'll show you we'll do the unboxing as is anyways. This one I could have used a little earlier. Great Lakes Christmas Ale. Heard a lot of good stuff about that one. This is his homebrew. Is it? I don't know, Max, is this your homebrew? Because it has BP written on the cap, but it still has the commercial label on it. I'm going to assume that's his homebrew. And is there a note or anything in here? I don't see a note to describe it, so. This is the one that I really, really wanted. Another bottle of Founders KBS. This is I think he said this is a 2011 edition. I think that's the one that I had when I traded with Daniel. Let's see, what's this one? Is this another homebrew? This looks like a real one. Rivertown Brewing Company Roebling Imperial Robust Porter. Handcrafted in small batches. Never heard of these guys or this brewery. Looks like, pretty cool, I guess. Just two more left in here. Oh, cool. Another Great Lakes. This is the Blackout Stout. And last beer. I know what this is. Nice. Three Floyd's Behemoth Barley Wine. Look at the label. It looks like it's from Pink Flamingos or something. Maybe that's what they were going for. And it even has the wax on the cap, just like the Dark Lord. That's pretty cool. Whenever I get a Three Floyds beer, I always want to jump on it. See if there's anything else in here. Well, there's a Great Lakes 6-pack carrier. So yeah, looks like some great beers from Max Spang over at Snobby Beer Reviews, plus a couple, one homebrew. This got to be his homebrew. So thanks, Max, for the beer. I won't get to these until 2012, but they won't be too long. So thanks for watching.